Hello and good evening. An Australian student thanked Swedish and his country's diplomats for securing his release in North Korea, but kept mum about what led to his week-long detention. He asked media to respect his privacy and said he has no plans to hold a news conference. He specifically thanked Sweden's Special Envoy to North Korea, Ken Rolf Magnus, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Foreign Affairs Minister Marisa Payne for his release. Swedish diplomats had raised concerns about Sigli with North Korean authorities in Pyongyang, where Australia does not have an embassy. Australian Home Affairs Minister Peter Dutton said Sigli was lucky to be free and suggested he should never return to North Korea. Student unions from two Hong Kong universities said that they have turned down invitations from city leader Carrie Lam for talks about the recent unrest over her proposal to allow the extradition of suspects to mainland China. The invitations followed a pledge by Lam to do a better job of listening to the voices of young people. Student leaders said at a news conference that they do not think Lam is being sincere. Her office invited them to closed-door meetings, but the students said any meeting should be public and include a wider representation. The demonstrations have continued though, with protesters demanding a formal withdrawal of the bill, Lam's resignation, the release of dozens arrested after the protests and an independent investigations into a police crackdown on the June 12 protests that included tear gas and rubber bullets. Sudan's ruling military council and the country's pro-democracy movement have reached a power-sharing agreement, including a timetable for transition to a civilian rule. African Union envoy Mohamed El Hassan Labat said both sides agreed to form a joint sovereign council that will rule the country for 3 years or a little more. The sides agreed to 5 seats for the military and 5 for civilians, with an additional seat going to a civilian with military background. The AU and Ethiopia made intensive efforts to bring the generals and the protesters back to negotiating table. The strongest earthquake in 20 years shook a large swath of southern California and parts of Nevada on the July 4th holiday, rattling nerves and causing injuries and damage in the town near epicenter, followed by a swarm of ongoing aftershocks. The 6.4 magnitude quake struck in the Mojave Desert, about 240 kilometers northeast of Los Angeles, near the town of Ridgecrest, California. Multiple injuries and 2 house fires were reported in the town of 28,000. Kern County Fire Chief David Weed said emergency crews were also dealing with small vegetation fires, gas leaks, and reports of cracked roads. He said 15 patients were evacuated from the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital as a precaution and out of concern for aftershocks. Well, that's all for me. I'm Mano Ruben. Anytime, anywhere.